Welcome to the Explainer. Look, if you've ever had to deal with massive amounts of data in SAP, you know it can be a real headache. Well, in this Explainer, we're going to give you a step-by-step guide to mastering something called mass data runs, or MDRs, and turn that huge challenge into a totally manageable process.
So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off by talking about why dealing with mass data is such a challenge in the first place. Then we'll introduce the solution, these mass data runs. From there, we'll get our hands dirty and walk through creating your very first one. Then we'll see how to schedule and monitor it. And finally, we'll wrap up with how to check the results and, really importantly, some key cautions you've got to know. Let's jump in. Okay, let's start with the problem that I bet every single large organization knows all too well, the challenge of scale. I mean, what happens when you need to apply a change not to one record, but to 1 million?
Just picture it. You've got to update the status for every single expired price request in the system, or maybe you need to process 1 million invoices all at once. Trying to do that by hand? It's not just slow, it's literally impossible. So how do you even begin to handle these massive, repetitive tasks in a way that's actually efficient?
Well, the answer is a really powerful feature called a mass data run, or MDR for short. This is SAP's purpose-built tool designed to tackle these gigantic data processing jobs head-on. So what exactly is an MDR? Honestly, the best way to think of it is as a smart, scheduled background job that's all about automatic data processing. The real magic here is in those two words, automatic and parallel. It just chugs along in the background. No user has to sit there and watch it, and it can even split the workload up to get the job done way faster. And you know, this isn't just some abstract theoretical tool. It's the engine that powers really critical business processes you probably already use. Things like processing huge batches of invoices, authorizing payments, or running dunning for overdue accounts. These are all perfect examples of jobs for an MDR. So the big question is, how do we actually build one of these? Let's walk through the whole process from a developer's point of view, right inside the SAP Cloud Application Studio. This is where all that automation gets created. Luckily, the Studio makes this pretty straightforward with a 4-step wizard. First, you define the what. You know, the business object and the action you want to perform. Second, you define the which, the specific data you want to process. Third, you set your control parameters, like how you want the logging to work. And finally, you just generate and activate the whole thing. Now, back in that second step, you have to make a really crucial choice. Is the data selection going to be flexible, or is it going to be fixed? User selection is awesome because it empowers business users to filter the data themselves every time they run it. Fixed value, on the other hand, hard codes the criteria. That's perfect for those standardized, recurring jobs that always need to do the exact same thing. Okay, so once the developer has built the MDR, their work is done. It's time to hand it over. So now, let's switch hats and look at this from the business user's perspective. How do you actually schedule and monitor the run to put all that automation into action? Business users get some really powerful scheduling options here. You can run it immediately, schedule it for a specific time in the future, or you can even set it to repeat, say every day or every week. You can even chain jobs together, so one MDR automatically kicks off the next one. It's super flexible. But wait a minute. Since these jobs are running in the background, how do you know if they actually worked? That is where the application log comes in. Think of it as your window into what happened. It details every single success, every warning, and every error. And here's a perfect example of what a successful log looks like. You get a nice, clear status, in this case, information provided. You can see the start time, the name of the run, and a full summary of the actions it took. It's basically a complete audit trail for the entire job. All right, now let's talk about how to interpret those results. And more importantly, let's cover some absolutely critical cautions. Seriously, understanding these rules is the key to avoiding some really common and frustrating problems. First things first, and this is a big one you have to remember, MDRs are exclusively for custom business objects. That means ones that you or a developer have created. You absolutely cannot use them to perform actions on the standard out-of-the-box SAP objects. Okay, and here is a massive warning about parallel processing. It is fantastic for speeding things up, but, and this is a big but, you should only use it if you are 100% sure that your data records are completely independent of each other. If they have dependencies, running them in parallel can cause all sorts of serious issues, like locking errors or even data corruption. So please, use this feature with great care.
And finally, here are just a few more essential rules to keep in mind that will prevent some major headaches. First, be super careful when changing an active MDR, because doing so will delete all of its scheduled runs. Gone. Poof. Second, you have to use a custom query. You can't use the ones that are auto-generated. And a final little technical tip, if you're working with solution templates, make sure you reactivate the UI screens to avoid system errors. Trust me, remembering these will save you a lot of trouble. So there you have it. We've gone through the entire blueprint, from development all the way to execution. Now, the real question is for you. What's that one repetitive, high-volume task in your organization that you could automate first with an MDR? Putting this knowledge into practice can save a truly massive amount of time.